All right, welcome back to America's Voice Live. Look, this unfolding FTX scandal, to say it doesn't look good, it might be a bit of an understatement, both for the cryptocurrency market and for the Democrats and for the Biden family. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri now wanting Democrat emails tied to FTX and its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, who contributed millions of dollars to Democrats, tens of millions of dollars actually, and seemed to have used FTX customer funds before it all went under, from $16 billion to zero in a week. So what happened? With me to discuss it, former Lazard managing director and author of Why America Matters, Michael Wilkerson. Michael, all right, so for those of us that are not that well versed on cryptocurrency and how all of this works and how a guy could have $16 billion on Monday and be penniless on Friday, and in the interim between all those times, he was sending tens of millions of dollars to Democrat political action committees. It just smells to the rooftop. What's going on?
This is a classic fraud, a gigantic fraud, but one that we've seen before with Bernie Madoff, with Elizabeth Holmes of Theranos and WorldCom Enron. I don't blame this on crypto itself. Now, crypto's had a terrible year, and it certainly is impacting it. The way for everyone to understand it is this was an old-fashioned bank run. Customers heard a rumor based on a journalist who had done some digging, done some work, and discovered that FTX and its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, was sending money to a related company called Alameda Research. Now, that money was customers' money. So just think about it as if a bank had taken your deposits and taken it across the street to a betting shop that that same banker owned and started placing bets on the horses. This is what happened. And as soon as customers figured it out, the game was over. So that liquidity run is just like the old-fashioned bank run. The depositors lined up at the door, and in crypto online, this can be done in a matter of minutes, seconds, hours. It was all over within 24 hours. We are seeing a lot of contagion. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw somewhere, Michael, that there are still billions of dollars owed to creditors. Not everybody got out unscathed. So then you have to say, well, where did that $3.1 billion go? Did it go into this guy's pocket? Is it in an offshore account in the Cayman Islands? Where did the money go?
So we do know that a lot of it did go into his pocket. Some of the fundraising that he accomplished at a $32 billion valuation. I think at the peak, some outrageous number. Once you're that high, maybe it doesn't matter which one it was. And of course, along the way, he did pocket a lot of that money for himself of raising fees and other things. You're right. The top 50 creditors are owed somewhere around $3 billion. There's a long tail of smaller ones after that. Will they recover it? I don't know. There was another report just a little bit ago about some hacker actually getting into what's left in the FTX accounts and taking additional funds out. And so this saga is going to go on for a while. It reminds me of something else, which is if I have just a minute here, what I would say is,
sure,
if you look at what's happening, this is not a crypto-specific issue. This is an innovation industry issue. When people get very excited, they start throwing a lot of money at any possible crazy idea. A couple of examples. We all remember the tech bubble boom back in the late 90s, a few years, just a couple of decades ago. A lot of money raised for a lot of dumb ideas that never made it off the ground. And yet the internet has transformed our lives in many ways. What survived, Amazon, Google, all these things. Now, we've got issues with them, of course, but think about what's happened. Go back even further, nearly 200 years ago, in the middle of the 19th century, railways were the mania. Here in America and in Europe, the landscape was being transformed. The economy was being transformed. There were so many scams and fraudsters that went along with this. Hundreds of companies that were formed, raised money, and never laid one single meter of rail. This is a bad unintended consequence when there's something very exciting going on in a new technology revolution. Certainly no excuse for FBF and what happened there. In fact, as I said at the beginning, this will be one of the top financial frauds that we've seen ever.
Here's the problem for me. It's not just the fraud that's despicable. Here's an MIT graduate, the boy wonder, and all of those accolades. But here's the problem. I wonder about the close connection to him, to the Democrat Party, to the money circulated through Ukraine and coming back, and then using this case that benefited Democrat PACs. The Democrat candidates benefited from all this money. And then they're going to use this to try to force on the American people a cryptocurrency that is American money, an American crypto dollar. That's what concerns me, Michael, because that's the game ahead, isn't it?
That's exactly right. And let me work backwards. Any central bank issued digital coin is still a government coin. It's a digital version of fiat currency controlled by the government, in fact, with more power to be able to surveil the users on the blockchain. And if you use a central bank issued coin, they will see and know every transaction that you do one way or the other. Going back to SBF and his backstory here, he grew up with two Stanford Law School professors. Clearly, the family was very tied to the Democratic Party. He seems to inhabit a moral universe without a compass, in the sense of if it was legal, if he could get away with it, he saw nothing wrong. He saw no moral aspect to what he was doing. And then to the point you make, that a lot of this money was being funneled into Democratic political campaigns. He was clearly trying to prop himself up as the spokesperson for the crypto industry, meeting with senators, meeting with congressmen, women, in order to put out regulatory proposals, supposedly crypto industry. A lot of people didn't agree with it. Nonetheless, that was what he was trying to do, and he had a very fawning media that was willing to say anything that was necessary. We don't know yet.
Well, fawning media, yeah, because he was supplying money, lots of it, to the candidates of their choice. Michael, I'll give you the last word. How do we prevent this from happening without a cryptocurrency from the United States government? Real quick.
So we need balanced and health. We do need regulation. Up to this point, the government, the regulatory agencies have been regulating by enforcement, not by law. In other words, they're going after companies after the fact and saying, well, you did this and that was bad, as opposed to saying, here's what you can and can't do. We need healthy regulation, just like we did for the internet 20 years ago. What enabled that industry to succeed and for the U.S. to become the leading power in technology innovation was thoughtful, reasonable, rational regulation and legislation. We need that today. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. On the other hand, we need to get to the bottom of what's going on here.
There you go. Michael, great conversation, great insight, because to a lot of folks, it's pretty confusing what went on, except that the Democrats made a lot of money off it. All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.